Hi, my name's Andrea McNamara, and I am a speech language pathologist. And I just wanted to give a brief overview of the Functional Communication Profile Revised Version by Larry Kleiman. So, this assessment is to be used with individuals between the ages of 3 to adult who have developmental and acquired delays. And this assessment is based upon the need for a functional description of communication skills. It can be used to develop an appropriate plan for services. So, this comprehensive assessment includes 11 different areas to look at, and they are listed below. So, they're sensory, motor, behavior, attentiveness, receptive and expressive language, pragmatic language, speech, voice, oral, and fluency. So, this assessment can be given as your initial assessment, and it can be as a means of a reevaluation. You can also give it on a semi annual, annual, or triannual basis. It doesn't have to be administered in any specific location. And about a benefit of it is that it can be addressed in all languages and all communication possibilities, including augmentative and alternative communication. So, one thing to think about, if the individual is bilingual, you might need to adapt parts of the assessment in order to make it appropriate to them. As far as time frame, there isn't an exact time to give this specific assessment. It will depend on your familiarity with it as well as the student that you are assessing, if they might have any behaviors or if they have more profound impairments. It could take longer, but the estimation is 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Each individual section of the evaluation does need to be filled out. So even if there's a section that does not apply to your individual, then you can just check the box that says none or not applicable. So a reader will be able to determine which area was examined. As far as materials, you just need age appropriate stimulus materials for your individual that are familiar to them. You may also want to have some low tech or high tech AAC devices if you haven't used any of those things before, or you may need them to help determine the individual skill level. I just included a few example materials listed, but when you look at the manual, it will have a full list available for you. As far as prompting, each level will have a checkbox. And so this will give you a great understanding of if your individual is able to do it with total assistance. And if you give it again at a reeval and they're able to do it with a verbal prompt, it kind of gives you an idea of where your individual has grown. So looking at the prompting, it does have independent, where they're doing it all on their own, a verbal cue where it's more indirect, like you might say, try again, a verbal prompt where you're actually telling them what to say, a gestural prompt where you're just pointing, a physical prompt where you might start to help them do something, but then you don't have to help them finish it. And the guided or total assist is where you're helping them hand over hand to complete the entire task. So here's just an example of what the checklist will look like in the functional communication profile. So on the left, you're going to see the specific skill area. And then on the right, there's a checklist that goes with each of the areas. And so if you're looking at the object identification, for example, you'll be able to see, okay, my individual is able to identify objects by function. They're able to identify objects with a physical prompt or with signs. And then again, if you go back, you'll be able to change it up as you need to. So scoring the assessment at the end when you're done is going to be based off of your general impressions. And the scores for the level of impairment for each category can be estimated, again, based off of the frequency of occurrences for those, the mode of communication, the degree of independence, did you use any assistance or prompting, the quality of performance, the inventory of the skills that you used, and the severity of impairment. Additionally, you can also look at any other assessments that you had given to help you kind of determine the level of impairment. And here is the level of impairment listed. So again, there's the 11 areas, and you'll see it's from normal to profound. And the manual does give you a little bit more information when you're looking at adults or children. Some adults might have a diagnosis of something that kind of gives you an idea of the level of impairment, but the skill level you might be looking at to see, okay, is the impairment for expressive and receptive language skills giving me an age equivalent of 9 to 13 years? And if that's the case, then they would have a mild severity. A moderate severity would be 5 to 9 years, a severe would be 2 to 5, and a profound would be birth to 2. And when you're looking at children, the severity of language will be measured more by delay. So a mild delay would be up to a 1 year delay. A more moderate would be 1 to 2 years. And then a severe would be 2 to 5 years delay. Profound will be that's 5 years delayed or more. So that is just a brief overview of the functional communication profile. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of whether or not you want to give this assessment, or if it'll be your first time giving it, you have a little bit of an idea of what the assessment is going to be looking for, and what types of things you will need in order to complete it. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful